I would like to acknowledge that this video is being filmed on the traditional lands of the Wurrung people of the Kulin Nation. I pay my respects to their elders past and present, and extend that respect to any Aboriginal, Torres Strait Islander or First Nations people who may be watching this video today. Hi everyone, my name is Steph, this is the Novelty Corner, and welcome back to my final top 5 video for the year. And this is going to be recapping November and December's reads just because I ran out of days in the month, so I'm putting them all together. I'm also going to have some end of year stats at the end of the video as well. All the timestamps and things will be linked down below so you can jump around to the parts of the video that you're interested in watching. The first thing I do want to say is welcome to anyone who is new to my channel, and a really big thank you to Bree from In Love and Words, Heather from Here Booktubes, and Megan from Meowth Vader, who very kindly in the last 24 hours since I started filming this shouted out my channel on their Instagram pages, because I am very close to monetization, and I was saying to a couple of people I've never actually thought that I would get as close as I am, so it's kind of overwhelming and cool and nerve-wracking. But if you're here because someone recommended my channel to you, thank you very much for stopping by and for watching the videos. I will leave anyone I mention, any books mentioned, etc. down below. The way that this is going to work, if you haven't watched any of the other videos in this top 5 series, is that I will talk about my top 5 books that I read in November, then in December. It's currently the 31st of December when I'm filming this. I have started my final book for the year. I will finish it today, so I have included those stats in here. It's a reread, so I know exactly where everything sits in terms of the stats for this book. So yeah, let's dive into it. So kicking off with November, I read a total of 44 books this month and 9,713 pages. My top 5 reads for November included Lore Olympus by Rachel Smythe. This is volume 1 of the webtoon that's now being published in physical form, and it is just a gorgeous graphic novel to have and to hold. This is a Hades and Persephone retelling. It's beautiful, and just the color palette that Rachel Smythe uses is just so whimsical while still having a lot of depth to the story. So I won't say too much about this. This has been talked about a lot and I have talked about it myself. This is definitely up there as one of my absolute favorite reads of the year. In November, I also really loved Check Please, which was a graphic novel. It's actually about hockey, which is not something I thought I would include in my top list, but this was recommended to me by Megan for one of my friends chooses my books reading vlogs during the year. It's just about a new guy who joins the hockey team, and he is absolutely sweet and adorable, and he is a former figure skater, and he's trying to find his place in the team, and he vlogs, I can't remember, about the experience, and he's gay, and he ends up falling for one of the other members of their team, and it's about their relationship, and it was just so adorable. It was so cute. Another book, and in fact it's a series that Megan recommended in that same sort of reading challenge video that I was doing, was How to Date Your Dragon. This is by Molly Harper. It is the first book in her Mystic Bayou series, and I have read the second book as well. And it's just set in this small town that's full of magical creatures, and we follow Gillian, who is an anthropologist who is concerned that the rise of the technological age is going to drive out magical creatures, and she ends up being sent by an organization called the League for Interspecies Cooperation to Mystic Bayou to learn about the people who are, you know, initially very distrustful of her. And the local town sheriff Bale just keeps on her and is trying to protect the town, but then they end up falling in love, and it's just a wonderful, very cozy mystery style paranormal romance series. If you like that cozy mystery feel of books, but you want a paranormal romance, this is definitely one to go to. I also really loved Fated Blades by Lona Andrews. This is the 3rd book in the Kinsman series and the first full-length novel. This is a sci-fi romance series, as far as I can tell. It does feel a little urban fantasy, but it's not set on Earth, so it's more sci-fi than anything else. But it is about Ramona and Matthias, who come from 2 warring families. They have opposing business interests and have always been at odds with each other. Then they both discover that someone is sabotaging both of their businesses, and they need to work together to sort it out. And along the way, they fall in love. So it is a great enemies to lovers story, and it was just delightful in the way that only Lona Andrews can write their stories, where you just go, I don't know if I'm going to be into this, but that totally works. Also, they have a really cool fighting style in this series. So if you like interesting worlds where it's almost like a cross between magic and sci-fi stuff, this is one to check out. And then my final of my top 5 for November includes The Demon Next Door by Chase Verity. The Demon Next Door is about a single mum with a young son, and she ends up meeting the neighbor next door who also has a son, and that child becomes friends with her son, and she ends up getting to know the father. And it turns out that Newt is a demon. And Molly, the mother, doesn't catch on to this initially because she thinks that he's just a very blunt, very forthright person, but he starts doing things to help her out, like clearing the snow from her driveway or from her car almost instantly, and standing up for her son at school when an incident happens, and suddenly she begins to realize he's not quite human, and the whole thing is just delightful and fun and very, very sweet. Chase Verity writes the best demon romances, honestly. They're just delightful. And then this month I had 3 rereads. They were all for the Kate Daniels read-along. So I reread Gunmetal Magic, Magic Rises, and Magic Steals. And moving into December, I read 56 things in December with a total of 7,995 pages. I was mostly reading novellas, short stories, comics, and manga in December because that's all my brain could handle. In no particular order, my top 5 books for December included Sing Me to Sleep by R.M. Virtues. This is another demon romance that features a female character called Penelope who is struggling to sleep, and she is visited by a sleep demon. He's initially there to feed on her, but then realizes that she's really struggling with a lot of things. And he finds that he can't quite capture her fear and return it to hell, which is what he's there to do, which is a problem because there's some things brewing in hell and it's causing a few problems for various demons. But he's intrigued by Penelope and he becomes quite attached to her. This one is very short, but it is very steamy. It does feature a whole stack of content warnings. I always forget which the content warnings are, but thankfully R.M. Virtues includes them in the front of the book. So this one has consensual non-consent, there is some humiliation, degradation, kink, sleep paralysis, explicit sex, rough sex, religious imagery. It does feature a demon/monster, so all the things associated with that. Depression, PTSD, there was a past home invasion, which is discussed. There's prescription drug use, loss of a parent, past and on-page death, etc. So be aware, but it is a really fantastic book. So I have 2 books by Adriana Herrera in this top 5. They are both part of her Toy Runners series, which are her Christmas novellas. The first one is Her Night with Santa, which is a sapphic Santa novella. And in this world, the title of Santa is passed down through generations of people in the same family. And Christina Kringle is the very first female Santa. She goes to sort of the family's holiday house after delivering all of the toys one Christmas to discover that this holiday getaway place that they have has a guest, and that is Farnaz, who is the daughter of one of the Magi. And Christina walks in on something she wasn't quite expecting to, and it's the relationship between these 2 women who come from families who have really strong ties and values and who ultimately want to see their daughters happy. It is super steamy, very short, but honestly so delightful. And then this year, Adriana Herrera released the second book, and then Adriana Herrera released the second book, which was The Toy King. And this one is about Valente, who leads the toy run every year, and he is sent on an errand to collect the bride for the arranged marriage for his brother. And he is rather put out by this, and he ends up walking in on Casina pleasuring herself when he goes to collect her, because she is under the impression that the brother that she's supposed to marry is going to be picking her up, and she's trying to shock him because she wants to get away from her family. She wants to strike out on her own and have some independence, but she doesn't want to do it by being forced into a marriage. So when Valente collects her and they start off on this journey where he's going to take her to his brother, they end up being forced to stop overnight because of the snow. So you have a forced proximity situation. Again, very, very steamy, but just so well written. Adriana Herrera is amazing. Even in the short number of pages in both of these books, you really get a sense of who these characters are, the history that surrounds them and their families, and it's just fantastic. Then we have The Soulmate Equation by Christina Lauren, which I actually only just read last week, and I can't believe I sat on this book for so long. So this is the story of a single mum called Jessica. She has a daughter called Juno. She is sort of working hard to try and make ends meet and to live independently, and she and her best friend Fizzy, who is a romance author, end up finding themselves trying out a new dating service which basically uses your genetic code to determine your soulmate. So while Jessica is initially reluctant to try it out, when she does send in her test sample, she gets this call and is asked to come into the company because this is just sort of pre-launch. She's told that she has the highest match that they have ever recorded with their service, and it's with the founder of the company. And she has previously met River and they have not gotten along particularly well because he's very quiet and reserved. But as the book goes on, we realize he's not a bad guy. He is literally just very reserved and really likes to protect himself. And so the two of them agree to go on some dates, mostly as a promotion for the app. Then they begin to develop real feelings for one another. It was just fun and funny. I loved Fizzy as a side character. She just added so many moments of lightness, and you could really see the friendship dynamic between her and Jessica. And I loved the dynamic between Jessica and River. And then you also have the really cool addition of a kid who felt like a kid but wasn't annoying in the book. And then the final book in my top 5 for December is Batman 3 Jokers. This is actually, I don't even know when this one was published, but I was falling down a bit of a Batman rabbit hole in the last 2 weeks. I'll talk about it more in my next wrap up. And this one came up, and it's one I haven't read because I haven't read anything recently from the DCU. In this one, you follow Batman, Batgirl, and Red Hood as they confront 3 versions of the Joker. I'm really fascinated more with the psychology of the Batman universe and what these characters represent. But this one was really fascinating because the Joker has hurt a lot of people in Gotham City, but the 3 sort of main characters in the series that they have had the most significant impact on are Batman, Barbara Gordon, when he shot and paralyzed her, and Red Hood because he killed him. The whole thing was just very eerie, as anything with the Joker is, very dark, but also forces these 3 hero characters to confront their relationship with each other and with the Joker. So I really enjoyed it. It's actually probably one of my favorite of the Joker stories that I've read. And in terms of rereads, I had 5 of them, again, all from the Kate Daniels series for the live show. So there was Magic Strikes, Magic Breaks, Magic Shifts, Magic Stars, and Magic Binds. All right, and then finally, I have some end of year stats for those who are interested. I was going to do these more often during the year, but honestly, it's actually quite hard to separate them, so honestly it's probably easier to do them mid-year and end of year. As I said, I'm still finishing off 1 book, but that will take my grand total of things read this year to 550 things in total. That includes everything from novels to novellas to manga to comics to kids books to picture books. I count everything, they're all texts, so there's 550 of them this year, which is a mind-boggling number and will not be repeated next year. I read a total of 126,346 pages overall. 179 of those texts featured new to me authors, and I acquired 217 books this year, and I have read 170 of them. I read mostly adult titles this year. I also read mostly new to me books this year, so 498 of the books that I read this year were new to me books, which leaves 52 books as rereads. Unsurprisingly, the genre that I read the most of this year was romance books with 408 titles, and I mostly gave out 4 stars to those books. I'm not reading things that I'm not interested in. My best reading month in terms of number of books or texts read was October with 63 things. However, the month that I read the most pages in was September. That was 13,603 pages over 52 books. I mostly read novels this year. There were 296 novels overall. However, I did read 125 novellas, which is a big change because I haven't previously read lots of novellas. Yes, those are some of the stats for 2021. I have a couple of videos going up in the first couple of days in January, but for the most part, this daily video thing is now done. So thank you very much to anyone who has watched all of the videos in December, or if you've picked through various videos this month, thank you very much for joining in. I hope that you'll stick around. The very first video for the year will be all of the books that I read in 2021. It's just a collection of photos separated by month. So if you're interested in seeing various titles, I do it as a memory keeping sort of thing, but it is quite fun to do. Yeah, and then I'll have some of my regular content coming up, so stay tuned. In the comments below, I would love to know your favorite reads from November and December, or if you want to let me know that you're here but you don't want to leave a comment, feel free to leave a sleepy emoji down below, because I don't know about you, but I am feeling very tired. This week between Christmas and December is no joke. I have no idea what day it is. It's lucky that I remember that this is New Year's Eve, because I'm ready for a nap. I hope that wherever you're on the world, you are staying safe and healthy. I wish everyone a very safe and happy New Year's Eve, New Year, and I will see you in 2022 with more videos. Thanks so much for watching. Bye everyone.